There are two major strategic approaches to terraforming Mars. This playthrough will look at the first of these, which is the terraforming approach that rushes the endgame and minimizes engine building. I'll be talking strategy with a skilled Danish player, Boneless, and we'll analyze his choices in this game. This is Legendary Tactics. All right, Boneless, tell me what you're thinking for your corporation selection and your prelude cards here.
Yeah, the corporation, I'm choosing Umni today, and the preludes is actually a big choice because I also had the prelude with the 2 titanium production, and if I remember, I made a few misplays in this game. This is like you could count this as one of them because I think it would be slightly better to actually take the 2 titanium production. But the reason I did what I did here, yeah, interplanetary cinematics is I'm not so fond of this corporation. I don't have a lot of building tech, so. Yeah, I'm gonna go Umni and I'm gonna go terraforming with this hand.
So this is gonna be the rush strategy. Then you're gonna try to close this game out quickly.
Exactly. And so I'm choosing the Aquifer here, and I'm not sure it's a good choice. It makes a lot of sense, of course, because I am trying to close the game early, and there's also this hidden bonus that I believe I did the math here, and I calculated that I could play Nuclear Zone and I could play a Giant Space Mirror, thanks to the 2 titanium I can get with the water and the fact that I don't have to pay 5 mega credits for the other prelude. So there's a little bit of logic here, but everything being said and done, I remember when I played this, I felt, all right, this was probably not the right choice, but, I just want to terraform today.
Right. Oh, okay. Now, the interplanetary cinematics, you didn't choose that corporation, but they get an extra 20 steel off the hop. So why would you not go that way? Would that be that's not as useful for this build?
I think the only thing I have here, Steelworks with a building tag, so that's not really enough. And I don't really have a lot of events, if I recall. So it didn't really make much sense. And I think the reason Umni is kind of strong in this game is that I have this steel. Oh God, what's it called? I just said it. The one that
Steelworks.
Yeah, Steelworks. Yeah. So what I can do is I can make 4 energy production in the first generation.
Nice.
And then what I can do is I can use Steelworks. I can buy that in the second generation. So this means that I'll have access to 1 free TR every generation, thanks to the Steelworks. And this is how I can just easily use Umni every single generation.
Oh, so you're just going to be cranking up the victory points?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. And you're also going to rush the terraforming rating because of the Umni power?
Yes. For sure.
Nice.
Well, what do you mean? I mean, Umni, it just gives me a flat TR, the effect of Umni, but obviously to get the requirement for Umni, I would have to be terraforming. So that's why it makes a lot of sense to be terraforming a lot with this corporation.
Right. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So for those of you who are joining us, I am very much a beginner. And so the point of doing these videos today is for Boneless to teach me. If you enjoy board game strategy and you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please consider stabbing the subscribe button now. So wonderful. Okay. So there's 2 main strategies in the game. We talked about this in our strategy guide. We'll go over what you call the greedy strategy or the engine building strategy in another video. But one thing you talked about was if you want to slow a player down or slow the end game down, that you hold back on one of the 3 end game requirements. Well, this game's already at 4 out of 9 oceans. So, is there any way someone could stop you from trying to rush this game?
Well, first of all, the ocean's not going to be a problem because one of the other guys already played Aquifer pumping. So I've no doubt the ocean's going to be close soon. I'm not so worried about the temperature either because I can at least do 1 TR every generation with my Steelworks. So it's about the heat, and when we talk about the heat, there's 1 card in my opening hand I regret not getting. It gives me like 1 water and 3 heat, and then I go down 2 mega credit production. I'm not a big fan of this card in general because it's a little bit rough to start the game going down on 2 mega credit production, but looking back at it, when this game is it's a lot about the heat closing out. When is that gonna happen? So with this in mind, I think maybe I should have kept this card. But I think the reason I did it is like this is because I knew that I just calculated just barely enough to play the cards I wanted. I wanted Steelworks. I wanted nuclear zone, and I could only do this if I didn't keep this card and if I didn't keep this other prelude. But it's kind of rough. I guess I got one free heat production out of the nuclear zone, so it's a bit of a tough choice. Maybe it's not so bad what I did, but.
Okay. Now, tell me about your thought process here. I think as a new player, it's overwhelming to see, there's over 200 cards in the game, or I don't know how many there are, tons. And just seeing all the possible variations, that's for you probably the fun part because you know what they all do, you know the synergies. But as a new player, how are you guiding what you choose here? Like I saw you chose trees, I think and do you generally only just choose one card or two cards, or how many do you buy? Because it costs 3 mega credits each, right? So what's the balance there mathematically?
If I'm a bit greedier and if I'm going for the long game, I tend to keep more cards, get more card draw and stuff like this. In this game, I'm just all right. This is a 4-player game. I'm Omni. I have a lot of terraforming going. I could probably end the game pretty early. So I'm not gonna keep so many cards. Actually, you'll see that I might even end up keeping a little bit too many cards, but we'll get back to that. But generally speaking, when I just want to close the game as soon as possible, it makes a lot of sense to not buy so many cards.
Okay, the subterranean reservoir.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have to because one guy has the water is almost closed anyway. So I think this is one of the cards that I probably shouldn't have bought. I think I end up selling this once again. That's a kelp farming. That's the best card I can get right now because it's so early in the game and there's already 6 water. So this is really good. And here's another questionable idea. It's kind of funny actually. I end up going for physics complex here, and the idea is that I'm anticipating that the oxygen is gonna be closed sooner rather than later, and then I'm gonna have like already in my hand I have enough cards to actually fulfill the 6 energy that this physics complex require. So my idea is that I can close the oxygen pretty soon. I got the kelp farming and I got the steelworks, and then after that I can get like maybe 2 generations worth of physics complex. So that's like 4 points physics complex can give me. So this is where my head is at, but I'm not sure it's a good idea because if I don't actually use 6 energy on one of these science resources, then this would be 6 energy that gets transferred to heat, and heat is gonna be the last one to close. So I'm not sure I made the right call. I think it's a little bit too greedy.
Okay, well, if anyone's played a lot of Terraforming Mars out there, I'm sure they'll let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, but it's sometimes you just want to go all in on terraforming, and this is what I maybe should have done there. But also, actually, Jakob Fruxelius pointed this out to me the other day, that sometimes it's also good to just do this. His go-to strategy is actually to do like a middle road. So he's going for terraforming and he's going for some cards, but not too much card draw. And then he's like, just want to close the game a little bit before the greedy guys is gonna overtake him. So his go-to strategy is actually a little bit in the middle of the road. So.
Just keep the pressure on, but give yourself time to outperform everybody else with your engine building in a small way.
Yeah, I think this is what I'm like going for here. I'm still getting a little bit of TR, and as you will see, I also randomly picked up this card in my hand that requires a Jovian tag. So in order to actually get 3 energy and 3 heat, what's it called? Beam from a asteroid or something.
Right.
So it's a little bit awkward because my thought was actually just to go all in on terraforming, just close the game as soon as possible. But the cards I end up getting is like I'm kind of being not forced, but I'm being inclined to actually go for a little bit of terraforming as well, or a little bit of VP as well. So for instance, now I kind of have to play another Jovian if I want to play this card. But maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm going to sell this card if I get some more energy production another way. So that's a lot of things to consider, to be honest.
It's interesting. The invention contest, only 2 credits there. For a player like you, that's fantastic because it gives you 3 potential cards to improve your draw with. For me, that's a nightmare because I'm just like, oh no, what do I do with these 3 cards?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely... I play a lot of greedy games, so for greedy games, this is definitely a perfect card for it's still a good card here, but I still think I'm keeping a little bit too many cards here. So here's also an interesting one, Large Convoy. I'm really thinking about keeping this card because in the late game, if I can get like one animal card, it can give me a lot. But here is actually a Jovian that I'm thinking about getting, Methane from Titan. And once again, it's a bit counterintuitive to actually pick up Jovians when you also just want to terraforming rush the game to an end as soon as possible. But here it makes sense because, well, it does give me a little bit. It gives me like 2 heat, 2 plant production, and also it enables me to play the other Jovian card because that one requires me to actually play a Jovian card before I can play this beam from a Thorum asteroid.
So if people are pretty new to the game, can you explain what Jovian is?
Jovian is the tag on this card, for example. And usually it's when you think of Jovian tags, you think of Jovian amplifiers, which is like the set collection of this game. So there's like 4 cards that says you get 1 victory point per Jovian tag you have played. Right. So in this case, you can like get a lot of points from Jovian tags, which is why this usually is something you kind of want to do for if you're playing the long greedy game. But in this case, like I explained, I had a little bit of ulterior motives. But
I guess a game. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
I was just going to say a game like this where you're trying to rush it, you ideally want to close the game out before anybody hits 100 points. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. I'm hoping for a 7th generation game, but I'm thinking because of the heat, it's a little bit misleading because the heat was so high to begin with. But now that I look at the other players, it seems like nobody's actually going for heat production.
Right.
So it's more realistic. It's going to be around generation 8, I would think. I can't remember, but that would be my guess.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually a really awkward turn because I think what's happening here is I'm really playing for this bonus. So I kind of already spent my mega credit on this expensive Jovian card.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm checking out the other players to see how much plants they have and how much gold they have. And I think one of the guys, probably green, has a lot of plants. So I kind of don't want to actually use my action because my action, the Steelworks, actually gives me 1 more oxygen. So if I use this, then he's actually just going to get a free ticket to get the bonus. So I'm slow playing a little bit here. I'm selling some of the sort of questionable cards I picked up. Okay. And I think what also happened, is this the turn where I actually played this one card? We just talked about a mention contest. Yes, it is. I just saw it in the log there. And that was a mistake, actually, because what happened is I forgot about my hero power, which is like get 1 TR for 3 mega credits. I hadn't used that one yet. So it's I could still slow play. I just had to sell a little bit, 1 more card, and it would have been fine. But right here, okay, so he's finally in a position where I think he passed at this point. So the good thing is I forced him to pass with a lot of plants. I think I look at green sometimes here. So no, he passed before me. So now he's not going to get the bonus. And he didn't want me to get the bonus either. So he actually passed with a lot of plants. So now there is a pretty high chance that I can pick up this bonus in the next generation. It really depends on red because red is going to start the next generation. So there's actually a lot of stuff going on here. But right here, mainly what I'm doing is I'm going to spend a lot of time here. All right, I messed up a little bit. I really want to use this Omni Corporation power here. So do I really want to sell 3 cards just so I can do that? And I think actually I end up doing it. So
wow.
It's a bit rough.
I really noticed 2 major differences between you as a more experienced player and me. I don't use the log very much. And the second element is just tracking what everyone's doing and sort of knowing. And I guess it's because there's just such a volume of information in this game that as an early player, I'm not ready to take on not only my strategy, but also 3 other strategies and how to interact with that. So tell me about the log. How are you using that here? I keep seeing you flashing over to that.
I'm just checking out what they're doing to get an idea of what strategy they're going for. But mostly right here, I'm using it a lot to really keep track on is someone like getting investment loan, I think red played just before or something like this. I want to see, will they get this bonus or am I in a good position to get the bonus? So the bonus is the main thing right now. For for sure.
That must be a challenge to figure out if you're going to beat them or not, because they may have some kind of trick up their sleeve. There must be cards in there that allow them to suddenly explode, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm actually selling 3 cards just so I can use this power. I didn't have to. I shouldn't have played Invention Contest. I should have just like sold 1 more card and I would have been fine. So it hurts a little bit, but I think it's the responsible thing to do. It hurts a little bit because I actually sold a card that gives me 2 cards. So this is like, I would never do this if I played a long game, but right here when I'm trying to close the game early, I think it's something that I would consider.
Yeah, the temperature doesn't seem to be coming up very quickly. I thought it was going to go a lot quicker than this.
Yeah. I actually made the same mistake as you. I was like, the temperature is probably fine, but no. It's just because a lot of people just had a lot of like asteroids, and like me, for example, I had this nuclear zone that also gives 2 temperatures. So we just had a lot of those cards in the beginning, and then it just stopped, and which is not what I want, because I have a feeling that one of the other guys, maybe 2 of them, have a really greedy money engine going on in this game. So these guys will beat me if the game goes long. So I can't allow that. So it's a little bit it's not in my interest that the temperature stopped moving. So this is why I'm also one of the reasons I'm also going for these sort of suboptimal plays of playing actually Jovian tags and playing the beam from an asteroid that I have in my hand. So here's a big asteroid, and this is like kind of what I want. But this is me doing the math here, and I think that I only have enough money to actually pick up 1 card, because I also want to play beam from an asteroid and stuff like this.
In a quick game like this, what would be a typical income that you're happy with? You've got 5 right here. Is that
this is fine.
Fairly normal?
Yeah, basically my main income comes from my TR, right? So right here I have 34 TR.
That's right.
And then I have 5, so it's not great, but it's not bad either. And then of course a big part of my game is this free VP I can get every single generation. So I can get or TR rather, so I could get the actually 2 TR, right? Because I have the Steelworks and I have the Umni. So for 3 megacredits, I can just get 2 TR every generation. That's like the biggest strength of my build in this game, I think.
Nice. Yeah, and sometimes they add up over time, those small advantages.
Yeah.
And
that's actually yeah.
You were buying the imported GHG, which is a heat producer, is that right?
Yeah.
And what's your reason there? Because it seems like they I guess that's just to get the overall temperature up, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit late, to be honest. I would rather play something like this a bit earlier, but right here, the whole premise of me winning the game is that the temperature is going to be close, so I have to do whatever I can to just get as much heat production right now.
That's right, yeah.
So there's actually a really interesting thing going on here. So I know that I'm going to start the next generation. So my first thought is like, all right, what I want is to play this beam from a Thurium asteroid, and then I can pick up the Terraformer milestone, and maybe just also the Thermalist at the start of the next generation. I can like abuse this because I'm starting the next generation.
Oh, that's cool.
But there's even a deeper layer going on here, because what I'm realizing is that the oxygen is about to close. So even though I'm in a good position around the table right now, I'll start the next generation. There's still some stuff here I consider. Yeah, so right here I'm picking up actually the milestone and also the Thermalist. So
I was looking good. You're solidly ahead there.
Yeah, I could have done that at the start of the next generation, but the other layer that I'm talking about is that the oxygen is about to close. So if I'm not getting something out of the oxygen at the start of the next generation, I'm not gonna get those TR right there. So what I'm losing by doing it like this is I'm losing like 3 heat and 3 energy, because I'm not playing beam from a Thorium asteroid this generation. But what I'm getting is potentially 2 TR on the oxygen scale. So this is way better. This is way more important. So this is why I'm doing it like this.
I love the idea of the milestones and the awards where they're sort of nominated and everybody benefits from it. But I mean, you only want to nominate the ones that you're going to win. So it's kind of neat to divert your income to something that, you know, could potentially benefit everybody and might actually benefit your opponents more than you if you misplay it.
Yeah. I think this award here, it only costs 8, and at this point I'm the only one going for heat production.
That's right.
I think I end up like getting second place in this one, but this is like entirely my own fault. It's actually a conscious choice that I end up making because I calculated in the last generation that I could actually make another play. We'll talk about that in the last generation, but there's a lot of math in the last generation of this game. It's
yeah, no kidding. So when you're just doing the math here while we're looking at the card selections.
Obviously, Protected Habitat is like one of the best cards I could pick up right now, because what this does, it allows me to actually put down a greenery using steel, and I have a bunch of steel. I have 9 steel. So this is perfect, and on top of that, I can also place it in a way so I get one more plant, so I can just make one more greenery. So this is why the play in the last generation ended up really, it was a heads-up play, and it really ended up helping me here, because now I will get the last 2 available TR on the oxygen scale, thanks to the choices I made in the last generation.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's what I'm doing right now. I already got the milestone, that's out of the way. Otherwise, if I didn't do it like this, the other guy could have claimed the builder milestone. He was really close to it. But by doing it this way, playing it safe, or what you would call it, now I can get the last 2 available TR on the oxygen. And on top of that, I get to use my plans. So now I'm immune to like asteroids and stuff like this. So this was really good for me.
Man, yeah, that oxygen just blasted out of there. I really thought it was going to be the final one to close.
It's really hard to predict sometimes. I think the reason I thought it's probably not going to be the last one is because in just 7 or 8 generations, I'm already like pumping that up with like 7 just because of this steelworks. So usually like this, it's not going to be oxygen. That's the last one to close.
Wow, you've hit 40 points here while everybody else is still in the 20s.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's a little bit misleading still, because then you also have to take into account only have 1 VP. And if you look at like Red, I think Red has like his Tharsis, and there's a lot of cities in this game. So he's just going to have a bunch of megacredit production and probably a lot more VP than me. So it's I feel good at this point, but I'm not so sure I'm going to win it. If I win it, it's because it's going to be close at 7 or 8 generations. Or if it goes to 9, there's a good chance that one of the guys can take me over. Yeah.
Very cool. Do you play this game socially, or is it mostly online?
Mostly socially, over the board actually. But I also play like a lot on the app just for relaxment. It's like a perfect game when you have your laptop in your bed and you're like going to sleep. And, I'm just gonna take one game of Terraforming Mars before going to sleep. It's like I'm too lazy to actually play this game on my tower, on my big computer, but it's a perfect game for a laptop.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting because games like this, I tend to cheat with the opening rules where, instead of drawing 2 corporations and choosing one, when I'm playing with friends, it'll be just take whoever you want, right? Do you ever do it that way, or do you always stick to the rules there?
We do it a little bit different, actually. But mostly when I play with my friends, we have like a bunch of user-made content. And I have a lot of that stuff. So I have like maybe 40 or 50 corporations. So we have like only one rule that we do differently. And that one rule is, instead of getting 2 corporations, we just pick 4 corporations, or we get randomly 4 corporations. And then the first thing we do is we have to like discard 2 of them immediately. So we have 2 corporations, and then we get to see the rest of our preludes and our project cards.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, here, if you noticed, I just saw AI Central and anti-gravity technology, and you might be thinking, oh, why didn't I pick up that? But a cute little trick you can do, you could just go to the awards and look at the scientists instead of actually checking everyone out. So by doing it this way, I was like, all right, nobody is actually having any science tags this game, so this is not a problem. So I'm not even gonna mass converter. I just kept that because the 2 other cards were unplayable. So I'm not gonna keep mass converter. And once again, Lunar Beam here. I think this is another. It's a little bit greedy. I understand why I do it. The reasoning why I keep this card is because it has 2 heat production and 2 energy production, and I did start the Thermalist, so it's kind of like a card that could help me to protect this award that I played. But on the other hand, this is generation 7. I wanted this to be over in generation 8, so it's not worth it. I should have rather spent 14 megacredits just like actually making 1 temperature instead of this Lunar Beam.
Okay, going to a standard project. Is this the first time you've used a standard project?
Yeah, There's just the thing is now I have 6 plant production. So even though the oxygen has been maxed, I still can get some points from cities. And there's one particular city spot here that looks kind of juicy, just between there. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got it. You've got 2 to start with, and
yeah. And once again, this is like a play that will allow me to get some VP. So once again, if I just want to close the game as soon as possible, this is maybe not the best idea. But in this case, I just, if you notice, I didn't really have any good cards I could play this generation. All of it was like, well, my hand was kind of useless. So I had like two choices. Either I could just start making what's it called, the asteroid standard project to actually try to close the game, or I could just get one city here just so I have something to place my greeneries, because I do have 6 plant production, 6 plants. So, and the other city I have up north, I think I'll end up giving maybe a little bit too many points to my opponents if I plant my stuff there. So
do you ever buy cards just as a sort of a strategic plan, not knowing if you'll actually need them or not, but you just want to give yourself options down the road, or is that just a waste of money?
Are you talking about cards that I will maybe play later, or maybe
That's
not
right.
play?
Where it costs you 3 in order to potentially, it's kind of like in poker when you you hope for something down the road, but you may not get it.
Yeah, I'm a gambler at heart, so I've been guilty in like, especially in greedy games, picking up like anti-gravity technology, even though I only have like 4 science tags. I'm like, I'll get the last 3. It'll happen. It'll happen.
Right. Yeah. Doesn't happen.
Nah. In this game here, one of the cards that could go into that idea would be this physics complex I just played. Because the thing is, like, if I didn't do this, I would have another 6 energy for the next generation. But like I said, it is 4 points by doing it this generation, and then I can also use the action next generation. So I think it's still okay. It will give me like 4 BP for this card, but it is a card I picked up rather early in this game. So I was definitely not sure if that was the right way to do it.
Which of your
yeah.
Which of these opponents would you say is the biggest threat now, and why is
based on cooperation? I would say it's red, but it's not the. I noticed in this game that he's not playing well. The other 2 are good players. They're like contesting me, slow playing, contesting milestones and stuff like this.
Right.
And also contesting bonuses, especially. Red, what he's gonna do? He's gonna, I hate to say this, but no, he's not a good player, because if I recall, he's actually going to help me close the game now, and that's like the opposite of what he should be doing. But the other two are pretty good. So I think probably green, but it's hard to say. Maybe green or purple, can't remember. But one of those are probably my closest rival, I think.
What are their main strategies then?
Well, I think one of them is Equaline. So if you look at the map here, he already has like a fair amount of points on the map. And if I check them out, sometimes you can all you do is just click on your opponents to see what they're actually doing. Do they have a lot of VP? Do they have a lot of plant production? How are they gonna make their point this game? In terms of milestone and awards, I think it's pretty even in this game. So this is not really a big consideration. I think we each got 1. So I got one
wash
for sure, and yeah, it's pretty much a wash. Yeah, and then there's the awards over there. I'll already check them out. I'm 100% certain that I cannot get any of these remaining awards. So I'm not even thinking about it anymore. I just thought, all right, I got my thermalist, I got my 1 milestone. That's it. That's good enough.
Yep. You're just hoping you have enough of a cushion with your VPs there.
Yeah.
With your TR.
And I think I will. Yeah. It's I feel pretty good at this point. It's quite okay. So yeah, physics complex here.
Doesn't look like we're quite going to finish in Gen 8.
I think if you look at me, this is like I'm not even slow playing. Oh, okay, there we go. But someone actually, this is what I mean. Well, who did this? Purple? Oh, I thought it was, actually both purple and green. No, both purple and red actually helped me to close the game. So they're of course also helping themselves. They want the TR and stuff, but it's definitely in my interest that they are helping me to close the game like this. But I actually had a plan to. I believe I could have closed the game even without their herald, because if you notice, I haven't even done anything yet. I still have 57 gold, so I was just planning to maybe spend my 8 heat and then just make a bunch of asteroids.
Oh, so right here, yeah. You're waiting to see what they're doing in order to find the way to maximize your efficiency then?
Yeah, you could say that. So right here, it looks a bit strange that I'm actually spending using an asteroid instead of, oh, I'm getting another city. Okay, yeah, so this city play, it wouldn't have been possible if my opponents would have actually prolonged the game, or if they hadn't like turned up the heat like this, then there's no way I would build the city. But right now I have a lot of mega credits left over because they are kind of helping me. Mm-hmm. So this is it allows me to make this play, and the city is going to be worth maybe 3 points. So it's still questionable, but there's also the fact that it's right next to water. It gives me a plant here, so it's not bad at all. So right nice. Here, oh yeah, what I was saying before is my choices here is now to close with the heat, with the 8 heat cubes I have, or I can close with the asteroid, or I can like hope one of my opponents are closing the game, or I could just spend my cards. But what I'm really calculating here, now I'm looking at the awards here. What I'm really calculating is if I spend my 8 heat, I will concede my first place on the thermalist, but it might be worth it because what I can do instead is I can get this mangrove down plus the trees, and those two by themselves would give me enough places on the map to actually get a second place in the landlord. So even though I'm losing the first place on the thermalist, I get to like get more points this way because I'm getting a second place in the landlord. So there's a lot of stuff too. This is like one of the more complicated last generations I've had because there's so many options.
Right. Yeah, there's a juicy place for some greenery there between 2 of your cities, right?
Yeah, that one I'll get for sure. And with the trees, yeah, of course, I'm also calculating how many plants I will need to actually get another greenery. So right now I could get 6 plus 6, so that's 1 more. And if I get the trees, I can get actually 2 more plants in the upcoming generation. So I kind of want to place both of these cards.
Nice.
But right now I'm missing 1 gold if I do it like that. Okay. And I think that's because there's no place where I can actually place the mangrove and get like an adjacency bonus to water. So I'm like missing 1 gold here, and it's really awkward. So I think I find a way around this? I can't remember, but I think what I could do. Yeah, now I'm looking at the landlord.
You're really struggling to find something.
Yeah.
There's got to be something here.
Yeah, and then of course there's also my Omni Corporation special power, so I still haven't used that one yet.
Okay, so we're moving into the end game here. Tell me what you're thinking about here.
Yeah, here there's a lot of math going on, like I talked about. So what I kind of want to do is I want to play the last 2 cards in my hand, mangrove and also trees. But I'm beginning to realize I can only play 1 of these, and because I also want to use my Omni power and also want to close the game. So if I close the game with my heat, like I said, it's I'm gonna lose the first place on the thermalist. But on the other hand, if I do that, I will have more gold. So in this case, I can play 1 of my cards, so I can get the second place on the landlord. And it's there's a lot of like, if I remember correctly, I'm like losing. I just need 1 more gold. I needed 1 more gold to play both of my cards, and I also needed 1 more gold to play. I think 1 of my cards and 14 to close the game with a standard project and the 3 for Omni. So it's really close, but it comes back to the few mistakes I made in this game. It really adds up. In the last generation here, I just needed 1 or 2 more gold, and I could have made a better play. But it's
oh, that's painful.
Yeah, it is a little bit painful. So right now, what I'm debating is, should I go for mangrove or should I go for trees? And I think it's like a toss-up. I think both of them is going to give me 1 point on the card, and both of them is going to give me 1 point on the additional greenery I can make. Well, actually 2 points if I. So I think I do go for trees, yeah, just because the trees can actually go next to my city. So that will be the only difference between those 2 cards at this point. Because I just calculate how many plants I need to make an extra greenery in the extra round. So I'm still like thinking about, should I really forfeit this first place in order to play trees? And I'm giving up like 3 points, but then I'm also getting some points back to get I'm getting 2 points from the landlord. And then of course the play itself, the greenery I can make here is like worth 2 points. And also there's 1 point on the card. So when you put all of this math together, it's a little bit better just to close the game using the last 8 heat. Yeah, I'm looking at people's heat production and stuff like this. Right now I'm at 15 in Thermalist and the other guy's at 14. Because like I said, he's unfortunately, the other two are good, but this guy's not that good. Maybe he forgot about the Thermalist because I believe he actually spent some heat this generation. So that's bad on his part, because not only is he helping me to close the game, but he's also like giving me the Thermalist.
Well, hopefully he can watch this video and destroy you next time around.
Yeah, probably. No, he wouldn't need to watch this video to do that. He's probably fine. And also, yeah, so the thing is with if I give up this Thermalist, I think, did I do it now? No, not yet. I'm still looking at the other guys. Like, am I then gonna get a second place on Thermalist if I spent the 8 heat, or what's happening here?
Right. I noticed you didn't use standard projects very much at all.
No, it's I think if the other players didn't actually terraform so much heat in this last generation, I definitely would have. I had like 57 mega credits or something, and I think all of those were like dedicated to actually just pumping asteroids in the last generation. Right. If they hadn't helped me. So my plan was to just actually close the game with standard project asteroids, just because it's very important for me. My cards are bad, and my like strategy is to close the game here at 8, or as soon as possible. It ended up being 8 because of the lack of heat production around the table, and because of my own choices. I also went a little bit greedy, picked up some VP along the way. Well,
you were right. Gen 8 looks like it's going to be a done deal here, eh? So
yeah, for sure. And now I am using my 8 heat to actually close the game. So I'm forfeiting the Thermalist, but like I said, it's worth it because it allows me to play trees, which allows me to get a second place on the landlord. So there's a lot of this. This was really complicated this last generation, actually.
Which is
funny. Yeah.
What's the shortest game you've ever played in terms of generation?
I think Generation 6 is the shortest I've played.
Oh, okay, and the longest?
The longest, I think only for the memes, I've had like 1 game go to 15, but other than that, I've had quite a few games go to 14. If like both me, it's only 2-player games to be fair, but if me and the other guy is like having a lot of fun with like our greedy engines and stuff, it can go to 14, but it doesn't happen very often.
Okay, so this is definitely on the low end.
Yeah. But in 5-player games, it was in a tournament actually I played in real life. It went to only 6th generation. That's like, it's almost no fun, because it feels like it's very random who's gonna win these ultra short games. It's like you don't really have a lot to say, because you can't really. Of course, there's a lot of things you can do to maximize your chances, but it's when it only goes to 5 or 6 or maybe 7 generations, it's a little bit more out of your hands, if that makes sense.
Right. Yep. This part's always tense. Oh, that's a solid finish there.
Yeah. So green was my closest rival. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it makes sense with all of the greeneries he had.
Yeah. Because he did quite well there.
Yeah. So victory points, he's getting 7 points on me, but I'm still beating him because I'm so far ahead in terraforming rating.
Yeah.
And greeneries and cities is pretty close. I was not no. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's pretty close.
Wow, purple really didn't care about the greenery.
No, it's but I think red could have had a very good chance of playing this game if he'd been more experienced, because he was playing Tharsis and there was like a lot of cities being made in this game, and he should have more. He had like, what did he have? 2. Did he only get like 2 victory points for cities and 3 for greeneries? Is this right? 2. It seems like insane for a Tharsis player.
That is right. Yep, 2 for city, 3 for greenery. Yep.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
It's maybe he's just having some fun. Maybe he's distracting, watching TV. I'm not gonna be too hard on him. But
he was playing for the awards. He got 7 there, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so he comes with lots of medals and ribbons, so that's great. Well, thank you so much for the run through. Appreciate that, and we will check out your 279 point game, which will show how to build an engine. So thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Remember, get out there, get gaming, be legendary.